Hi, I'm Jess Finster, Community Director, and I'm here visiting Bethesda Game Studios where the team is hard at work on Starfield. I just want to say how grateful we all are for all of the feedback, support, and questions that you've been sharing with us on Reddit, Discord, Twitter. So we wanted to take a moment to answer some of those questions in our new series. So let's get started. First thing that we want to know is what inspired Starfield?
Oh, so many things. I think the main ones that, I'm going to go back like in time here. Sundog is a big one. Amazing game, kind of like the science fiction game when Ultimas were out. It also had this parcelless interface, kind of one of the first games where you're moving objects around and putting them together, but great game where you had your own ship and you could explore around that I loved. Another one, this is a kind of pen and paper role-playing game at the time where D&D was getting popular, is this game Traveler. Traveler was a little more hard science fiction. The other thing there, it's one of the first games I programmed on the Apple II at the time. I really wanted to make a Traveler game. It was also my first time realizing that computers had memory that you could run out of. I can already see the comments, people saying, you've been running computers out of memory for 40 years now, but that's an easy comment, everybody. You can do better. But those are the big ones, hearkening back to those old role-playing games that we loved, and hey, can we pull off something like this with today's computers and consoles, et cetera.
You mentioned hard space or hard sci-fi, and I know that that's one of the things that's been hotly debated in the community. Is Starfield considered a hard sci-fi?
I never quite know, because that's always what do they think it is if you say yes or no. I think it is more hard to us, hard science fiction, where you can draw that line from, okay, here's how man explored space, and you can even look at our ships and say, all right, that has some visual identity back to that. But it's a trap question because it's a video game, right? Like a hard science fiction video game would be you die in space cold. A good example, we were really into fuel and how the gravity drive works, and I'm reading papers on quantum physics and bending space in front of you. You don't actually warp, you bend the space, you bring the space towards you. And so we were playing that, and it became very punitive to the player. Your ship would run out of fuel and the game would just stop. You just want to get back to what you're doing. So we've recently changed it where the fuel in your ship and the grav drive limits how far you could go at once, but it doesn't run out of fuel. Maybe there'll be an update or a mod that allows that, but that's what we're doing now.
Constellation members are excited about the character customization and the traits in the game. Can you talk more about what players will experience with the traits?
I love our trait list. It's super fun. But each one obviously comes with some sort of negative as well. And we have a way in the game, kind of an activity or quest you can do to remove that trait, as opposed to, don't like my character, I want to start over. Each of them are something that you can solve that removes the entire trait for the rest of your playthrough.
The last question, we have speech checks and dialogue that reflect your character build. Do you want to expand upon that at all?
Yeah, look, we've done a lot of different dialogue systems. We've gone back to kind of I'll call it a classic Bethesda style dialogue with you're looking at the character and how they emote. You have a series of choices there. The scope of the game, the amount of content we're making is a bit more than we've done before in terms of quests and things like that, but the depth in some of this stuff with the dialogue, we just passed 250,000 lines. And so that's a lot of dialogue, but we've gone through it and the impact is really there. And that includes my favorite speech persuasion system.
You're not talking us out of this score.
It feels like it's part of the dialogue, but you're spending points to persuade them.
You willing to give up the ship? Just like that?
It feels natural, not like I've entered some other mode where I'm not doing regular dialogue. It's just I'm in this mode of persuading you to get what I want.
Having a way with words might prove useful.
That's it. That's all the questions that I had for today.
Yeah, this has been great. Everybody out there, keep it coming. We do really read it all. And also we look forward to showing you more of the game in the future as well.
Hi, I'm Jess Finster, Community Director at Bethesda, and I'm back at Bethesda Game Studios doing another round of Constellation questions. Thank you so much to everybody who submitted your questions on Discord, Reddit, Twitter. We really appreciated reading them all. Today we're talking with Starfield's lead quest designer, Will Shen, on quests. So let's get started. Hi, Will.
Hi, Jess.
Do you want to give a brief intro to yourself so they can get to know you a little bit better?
Sure. I'm Will Shen. I'm the lead quest designer on Starfield, and I am also responsible for the main quest.
Well, we got some of the top questions from our community that they want to know about Starfield. First question. One of the best things about the previous games were random encounters that you have in the world. For Starfield, how has the random encounter system been improved or expanded upon, if at all?
So very exciting. This time around, we have entire planets that we have to populate. So we actually have new tech to take whole locations that we've built and put them on the planets. Now you could say maybe you're going to an outpost and you actually discover there's a whole group of people there with a particular problem. Whereas, before it might be just a person coming to you along the road. Now it's an actual whole location that can be put there. And maybe they have a problem like one of our members was kidnapped. They've been kidnapped by some pirates. We think they're over there. We actually are replacing a whole other location with that person in it and enemies around it. So it's a dynamically placed settlement that is taking you to a dynamically placed dungeon as you're walking through the planet.
So basically, at any point in time on a planet, you can just experience a random encounter anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we're really only just scratching the surface of what that tech can do.
We can see what looks like Earth's own solar system in the Starfield gameplay trailer. Will there be quests taking us back there and exploring how things have changed?
Yeah, actually, very early on in the main quest, we take you to our solar system, which in our lore is called the Old Neighborhood.
Nice.
And you'll be being sent there on a mission from Constellation to discover the mysteries of the artifacts. And you'll get in contact with the question of what happened to Earth, but also you'll go to Mars, and there's actually a settlement, one of the early settlements that humanity created after they left Earth. It's called Cydonia, and that's a whole city with its own problems and people to meet.
How will faction quest lines work compared to other BGS games? Can we join multiple factions and complete all of them like in Skyrim, or does joining one lock you out of certain others like in Fallout 4?
Yeah, so one of the early things we decided on was making sure that the main quest actually kind of gives you a little bit of a tour of the settled systems and all of the major players there so that we can give you a taste of what they're going to be up to.
We're peacekeepers. We protect the people of the Free Star Collective.
We also discussed really early on, like, okay, do we make some of the factions be in conflict with each other? And we decided, we really want to make sure that you can play through all the faction lines independently of each other. And this time around, we were like, no, we really want the stories to be a little more personal, right? You're influencing the direction of where this faction is going to go. So say the politics of the Free Star Rangers, right? What's more important? Is it justice or industry, right? Where are you going to try to nudge them in this direction or another? So you don't necessarily end up as the head of every single faction of the game. But, obviously all the major characters in every faction quest line will be reflecting on your choices. But, it can have far-reaching consequences for what that faction is, what it cares about.
What will the role of some of the companions be during quests?
The companions along the Constellation storyline, which is the main quest, they'll have a lot of opinions and points of view about what the decisions you'll be making along the main storyline. We've also added in several times where you can ask them to speak for you. So you might have a companion with you and you'll be challenged to someone will tell you can't get through here. And you can actually turn to your companion and say, hey, actually, could you handle this? And they'll actually speak on your behalf, and there could be consequences, good or bad, for what they happen to say. And all the usual things you would expect from followers, right? They'll follow you into danger. You can trade equipment with them. And, they'll also be crewing your ship, which is new. So they'll be helping out on your ship as well.
Will NPCs react in different ways depending on how the player completes a quest?
Yeah, all the quest lines have major characters, right? That they'll reflect on the decisions you're making, and they'll have opinions about whether they're good or bad, and for a few of the storylines, and including the main quest, who ends up with you at the end, right? There are you'll be determining the fates sometimes, whether someone lives or dies, or whether someone's still in the faction or decides to leave the faction. There's a lot of different things that'll happen.
Well, that's all the questions I have for today. Thank you so much, Will, for taking the time. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much to Will for volunteering his time to answer our questions, and thank you for submitting your questions. If you want to be the first to know about videos like this one or other news about Starfield, we encourage you to sign up to join Constellation. You can also submit any Starfield questions you would like to know at the hashtag here. So until next time, thank you, and we'll see you soon.